Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for this 66th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include actor Dean Cain. He'll be the host of the 24th Family Film Awards, which will air tomorrow night on Reelz TV. We'll also visit with motivational speaker, author, and mountain climber Jim Davidson about his new book, The Next Everest. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, check out the shop, and of course share with your friends. Now, it's not exactly breaking news that coffee helps you stay alert, but how much coffee gets you to the right level of alert without going too far or not far enough? Well, a new study out of Portugal found the exact number of cups of coffee that you should drink in a day is 5. Now, that's the point where you'll be the most alert, and also your memory will be better and you'll learn stuff faster. So I guess start throwing them back. Know him from the small screen, the big screen. Going to be paying tribute and giving out some awards coming up tomorrow. We've got the Family Film Awards and telecast that is going to be coming up tomorrow evening on Reelz. And with that, we've got Dean Cain on the line with us. And first off, Dean, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Good morning, Cameron. Happy to be here and happy to be talking about the Family Film Awards. Hosting that's been it's a lot of fun. It's a very cool show. Honors some of my favorite shows as a kid growing up. Happy Days and the Brady Bunch. Mom always said, "Don't ever play ball in the house" or whatever that is. All those things are on, and I grew up with that. My brother and I would watch those things, and they were seminal films and television shows rather in our lives. And and as a single father, I've grown up watching stuff with my son and discussing content. So it's family film stuff is near and dear to my heart. I make a lot of family content, and I was honored to host the show and meet my dad's all-time crush, Anne Margaret, who is honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. He was so jealous of me doing that. I sent him a picture, and he was just like, "This is weird. You can do that." So it was really a lot of fun. She was what a hoot.
Now, tell us, what's it like after being in front of the screen on the stage and all that? What's it like to host an awards show? I mean, how much pressure do you feel on those as opposed to having lines? I mean, you do have a script somewhat, but still.
Oh yeah, a total script. You have a teleprompter to read from, and it's just the fact that it's live, and that's what gets a lot of people. I've grown comfortable doing it just because I've been doing it for so long. It's not one of those things I think I was necessarily blessed with, like the particular skill for it, like immediately growing up. In fact, my son's in college right now, and he doesn't like giving presentations. Neither did I in college, but it's a lot easier doing this after you've done it for decades. I don't want to say how many years, but it's been a while, Cameron. I'm not going to give out any secrets here, but I was born in 1966. So for me, getting out in front of people and saying stuff, and there's an art to it, but I just make it very conversational. And I've been presidents and the Golden Globes, the Emmys, things like that. So I was more nervous back in the day. Now I'm quite comfortable doing that.
For you, Dean, now you look at your career and you see some of these folks that you're paying honor to, and to see them as colleagues and friends in the industry. I mean, how cool is that to look back and have those memories with those artists as well?
I can't even explain it because, again, there's, my son and I will watch shows. He doesn't care about, dad's done this, dad, I'm just dad. But when there's somebody he meets that was on a show we liked, I see how it affects him. I see he's like, "Oh, wow, that's so-and-so. That's cool." He knows that everybody's just a person. He's learned that, by meeting so many of his quote, his characters are not really heroes because they're not heroes. He enjoys and he knows they're actors. But when he meets somebody whose work he admires, he just gets a kick out of it, and I see that. So it's actually really cool for me. I get a kick out of it when there's people. I mean, even like Anson Williams from Happy Days, Potsy. I mean, that was a big deal for me. Henry Winkler, probably the nicest man on the face of the earth. Nothing at all like Fonzie, but like the greatest guy in the world. That kind of stuff is it's kind of amazing. And well, I'm really blessed and lucky to be in this position, and I'm very thankful. And it's just really cool. It never goes away, that little bit of magic.
So paying tribute to your dad's crush with Anne Margaret, I mean, you had to have a bit of a crush also when you talk Back to the Future, Leah Thompson, and I know there's a film award to go along with that too, Dean.
Oh, absolutely. But I've been lucky enough to work with Leah. She has some real classic classic lines, the Calvin Klein lines and things like that. She was brilliant in those films, and Back to the Future is one of my all-time favorite series of movies, and we do talk quite a bit about that. I don't want to give anything away, but it's like my whole childhood was on display, and it was just quite a wonderful night.
So it was not only hosted, it was produced and executive produced, all that Dean Cain, right?
I didn't do all those, but I just hosted this one. But I am producing, directing, and writing and starring in my next film, which is a lot of fun. And maybe I'll get all those titles in the next Family Film Awards. I'll do my best. My buddy Roger, who does it, he does it better than I do.
Now, Dean, we've seen so much negative, so much emotional issues folks have been dealing with over this past year, and for you to pay tribute to not only TV shows but films that are making a difference in folks' lives and putting a smile on folks' face, even if it's just for a couple of hours. I mean, that's got to be the ultimate reward for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cameron, I'm an optimist. I'm a very positive person. And my dad even says to me, he's like, your greatest character trait is your undying optimism. I like to see the good in everybody, and I like to celebrate the good. Excuse me, unfortunately, and I do it sometimes because I do host news programs and things, is that controversy sells. If it bleeds, it leads. And so those sort of things are out in the public sphere. I like to put some good things out there, too. So people don't think that everything is doom and gloom. I think like 90% of the stuff that's reported on is negative in the news cycles, and we have 24-hour news cycles, and we have 300 different news stations. So you're going to get bombarded with a lot of this negative information, which is unfortunate. It's hard to put it into perspective historically, but I'm a history major, and historically we are living in very, very safe and wonderful times, and it's easy for me to see. Yes, there are strife and there are some issues. I mean, I'm a reserve police officer and a sheriff's deputy in real life as well. I do these things because I love and respect law enforcement, and sometimes there's some tough situations, and it's unfortunate. But I stand fully with our men and women in blue, and they're in a rough situation right now. My dad even said to me the other day, he's like, man, I don't know why you would even ever choose, why anybody would choose to be a police officer in these days. And I said, Dad, I think just for a lot of these officers, it's a calling. Some of them make bad mistakes, and some of them, are the ones that are going to be saving. They're heroes, and it's a tough place to be in. And again, they're heroes to me, and that's why I joined up, and that's why I wear a badge.
Dean, the 24th Family Film Awards is going to be tomorrow night on the Reelz TV Network from 8 Eastern to 10 Eastern. That's 7 to 9 local time. And Dean, not only want to make sure folks have information about that, but also everything you've got going social media-wise as well.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, I'm on Twitter at Real Dean Cain. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I'm not as active on Instagram at Deuces1966 because that's my birthday, and I don't know why I put that out there. My kid did it for me back in the day, and I just haven't. I need to change that. I should be like Deuces1985.
Yeah, I know, right?
just lie about my birthday.
Now, Dean, what's been the biggest technological thing you've had to learn over the last year, as just because you definitely had to?
Well, I'll tell you what, streaming stuff. Those are sometimes I get, like HBO Max, you have to stream it through your cable provider and things. Some of this stuff, I'm like, can I just turn on the channel? Can I just do this? And my son's like, Dad, just look at this. Just put this app here, click this, take a picture of that, and it reads it. I'm like, what? All right, that's pretty cool. But so, I'm having to learn some of those things. But I play video games with my son. He's a big tech head, and he teaches me and keeps me up to date and treats me like an idiot if I don't know how to do it. So, and I'm pretty good. So, that's the kind of stuff, that technical stuff. Even my 10-year-old godkids. Well, of course, if you do this and do this, and I'm like, well, how do you even think like that? How old are you? 10? Okay.
Makes sense.
I can't imagine what their kids are going to be.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm thinking about a cup of coffee. Bing, there it is.
Well, again, the Family of Film Awards coming up tomorrow night, Reelz TV. And Dean, always great to visit with you, sir. Hope you have a great rest of your week and catch up real soon.
I appreciate it, Cameron. Thank you so much.
Now, here's a good hypothetical question for you that shouldn't give anyone a complex. A new survey asked people if they'd rather have a good body than things like more money, a better love life, or a better work-life balance. and 28% said they'd rather have a great body than a better love life. 24% would rather have a great body than make more money, and 12% would rather have a great body than a better work-life balance. Got a new book we're going to talk about, the life living through that book as well, The Next Everest. We've got Jim Davidson on the line with us, and first off, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time.
You bet. Great to be with you, Cameron.
Now, Jim, tell us, when did climbing first happen in your life? I mean, whenever you handle Everest in the first place, you've got to have some climbing behind you. So when did that start for you?
You bet. I started climbing in 1982 up in my home state of Massachusetts, and over the years, I reached a little further and a little higher out to across New England, Colorado Rockies, and 33 years later, I had enough experience to finally go to Mount Everest.
The trip up Everest that you had, unlike many that other folks have had, and tell us, Jim, about the day. Did you see things? Did you see it ahead of time? Any idea of what was going to befall you?
The Everest expeditions. We had been in the area for a couple of weeks, climbing higher and higher peaks, getting our bodies used to the thin air up there. And on April 25th, we left base camp at about 17,000 feet and went up to the first camp, Camp 1, at about 20,000 feet. The weather was fine. Nothing seemed amiss. And I'm an environmental geologist, so I didn't sense anything amiss. And then at 11:56 a.m., everything changed real fast.
The writing of The Next Everest for you, obviously the earthquake and the avalanche, the deadliest day in Everest history. To live through that, was there ever a question of, were you going to try to climb again? Was that ever a question in your mind?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, after the terrible experience of the earthquake and the avalanches and having 18 deaths in our base camp, it was a terrible day. We just tried to get through it. And when I left base camp, as I shared in the book, The Next Everest, I was talking with my climbing partner, Rodney, and I said to him over the phone, I said, Rodney, I don't think I'm coming back here. He said, what's the chances of you going back? I said, 10%. I don't want to be here. I just want to get away from the terrible tragedy zone. So we tried to help out in Nepal as we left. And when I got home, I started doing fundraising to help out Nepal's recovery. And as I was telling people, hey, you should go to Nepal once things get fixed up. It's a beautiful country. And I thought, maybe I should walk my talk and go back myself. And that's what led to me starting to think about going back again.
And you talk about the resilience after going through tragedy. And Jim, this really relates to what so many folks are facing. Obviously not on the momentous stage that you're talking of here. But Jim, what did you learn from that has maybe helped you over the last 12 months in the craziness we've all gone through?
Yeah, I see it the same way as you just suggested. When you get in a tough situation, be it a pandemic or be it an earthquake, all you can do in the first few minutes and the first part of it is to try and do your best to take care of yourself and help those around you get through it. You just got to try to endure this terrible thing that's going on. But as it progresses and things calm down a little bit, but you're still in a bad situation, you ask yourself, who can I help nearby? And that's what happened to us. Kind of our awareness got raised about the Everest Base Camp community, the Nepali people, the whole Nepal country. And that's what's happened in the pandemic. You try and reach out and lift up somebody who's having a worse time. And there's several forms of magic in that. One is that you lift them up, and maybe next week, they'll help you lift up. And that's how we raise each other up. And also, when you help others, it increases your resilience. And over time, you can start to distill some lessons, some wisdom out of this mess that happened. And that's part of the magic of taking on a tough situation or a tough challenge like Everest. You take the lessons you learn from that onto the next challenge, onto the next opportunity, or as I say, onto that next Everest.
Now, Jim, you'd written before, but was it more difficult putting thoughts down on paper this time around as opposed to before?
Well, I'd written a prior book called The Ledge, so I had the writing experience for sure. But, this was a tough story for Nepal. A lot of people lost family members. Almost 9,000 people died across Nepal. 18 climbers died in base camp. So I wanted to be respectful of that and share the most important things that happened during the quake to explain it, and also to explain to people what it's like to go through that and try and distill some of those resilience lessons out. So, yeah, I felt like I had a bigger mission that I wanted to write very carefully to share those resilience lessons to help people get through anything, including, as it turns out, the pandemic we've all been in this last year.
Now, how has climbing gone for you? Have you taken the time to yourself to get out and do any extra climbing here in the last few months?
Well, not as much as normal, frankly, because go up and have our fun day of climbing or skiing and break a leg or get lost, because when our hospitals were pressed, that's taking up valuable resources that could be saving somebody's life. So we actually encourage each other not to go far into the backcountry. It's okay to go for a little walk in the woods, but don't do anything dangerous and get hurt, and use up valuable community resources. So as a result, myself and others have done a lot less climbing this year. I've tried to do my trail running and do basic hikes near the house just to get outside, but not doing that risky stuff.
Now, what is the next Everest for you? What is the next mountain that you're climbing as you look through the rest of 2021?
Yeah, my next Everest right now is to get the word out about the book, The Next Everest, to try and share those lessons, because we've all been kind of traumatized in the past year, as you kind of hinted at. And I just want to help people, hang in there to get through this and try and distill their own lessons. So that's kind of my mission for now. But I'd like to be able to go over to Nepal sometime and take my family, probably not climb anything big, but do some backpacking and trekking in Nepal, because it's a beautiful country and I like to support them.
And as you put the book out this time around, how much different is the landscape and how much technology have you had to become savvy with over the last few months as well?
Well, it's been different. I'm also a motivational speaker, and there's been no meetings, so no speaking at meetings. So I've learned how to do virtual keynotes from my house over the last 12 months. And the first couple months were a little bit rough. And like I say, I bought a lot of technology. I learned a lot of things that I didn't think I wanted to learn or would have to learn. But that's part of adapting during a crisis, is trying to figure out new stuff and keep moving forward. And eventually we worked out a system. So I've been able to continue working from home, doing virtual keynotes over the internet. Learned some technologies. It hasn't been easy, but we've all had to adapt, and we've hung in there pretty good. And I think in the long run, some of those things we learned will help us do a better job in the years ahead.
I think that's exactly right. And again, Jim Davidson, the new book, The Next Everest. I want to make sure and let folks know not only where they can find more information about the book, but everything you've got going social media wise as well.
Well, thanks. They can get the book certainly at their local bookstore, that's for sure. They can also get the book and more information about the kinds of climbs and resilience lessons I share at my website called speakingofadventure.com.
All right. Well, Jim, it has been great to visit with you this morning. I truly appreciate your time and hope you have a great rest of your week, my friend.
Thank you. Same to you, sir.
Now, you know that your body doesn't feel as good as it used to. But why? That's a good question. Well, a new survey asked people what impacts their body the most, either in a positive or negative way, and here are the top 10. Number 1, age. Number 2, exercise and activity level. Number 3, hormones. Number 4, anxiety. Number 5, lifestyle. Number 6, stress. Number 7, diet. Number 8, the season. Number 9, genetics and family history. And number 10, medication. Well, thanks again for joining us for this 66th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, a question, maybe anything else you'd like to know, you can hit me up on the contact page at gqwithcam.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at gqwithcam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, visit the merch store. We've got hoodies, mugs, tumblers, shirts, stickers, and more. That's at gqwithcam.com/shop. Of course, if you have a special guest idea, email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Well, thanks again to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with our theme music. We're going to let him play us out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday.